works for everyone, but there's going to be a variety of things where I'm going to show you and share with you, and hopefully one of them you'll find to your liking and be able to use in your classroom. Let's see. Let me go back one, excuse me. Back. Sorry. All right. I want to keep this session simple, so I'm going to model 3 or 4 strategies for you that that you may or may not be able to use in your classroom, but hopefully you'll find them engaging, and they're very, very simple. So we're going to go around and introduce ourselves because we don't know each other, and so I'll start with you.
Hi, I'm EJ Deutschak from the SSAP.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, Jen.
Lisa Lee, EBD.
I think we've met before, Lisa. I don't, right? Am I right? Okay.
Well, it's wonderful to
And
put a
she's
name.
like, I didn't know we had to do formal, I just go knock on your door.
I know, and it's great because Lisa's new to science, so I've been helping her a little bit with that. And you're right. Yesterday I went on, as a side note, went on Think Central, and all the kids were on that, and that didn't work. So we're gonna explore that a little further.
I know, I
but
keep trying every year,
It
it's the same
doesn't. It
thing.
doesn't work. But we're gonna figure
Everything
that.
today is low tech. So
Everything is, and this is fun
That's
because
good.
everything's hands-on, it's in your control, there's no monitors, it's fun, it's all about kids talking and sharing and having them do more of the work than us do more of the work. So that's gonna be fun today. Okay, the first question, you all have a little triangle. Thank you, hold up the triangle, thank you, Joe. I'll hold up the triangle. And we're just gonna take about 30 seconds today. I'm gonna answer the number 1 question. Your number 1 question is, what is the major reason you became an educator? So I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to talk with your group, and then we're going to share out our answers.
So Lisa, why'd you become an educator?
It's hard when there's only 3.
Yeah. Kind of fell into it.
Fell into it. That's fantastic.
No, my kids were in school, I was volunteering all the time, every day there, and they were like, you're here a day, you might as well teach, so I went to school, and the kids were going to school.
And so the schedule of teaching also was convenient for you with your kids?
And I sort of got special ed and
How about you, Jim?
Mine was more of an aha moment in college.
An aha moment. That's fantastic as well.
Yeah, I was studying to be an engineer,
a lot.
and in physics as well, and I realized all my teachers were terrible. Yeah, and I was always dabbling around with being a teacher, for social studies, always thinking about it, like history and all that. And then I just thought, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, I want to be a teacher. And actually engage my students and have them learn.
Yeah, fantastic.
Fantastic.
What college did you go to?
Edinburgh,
Oh,
Pennsylvania.
Cool. And you said for physics originally.
It was a 3-2 program, so 3 years at Edinburgh for physics, and then you get a 2-year degree, on a bachelor's for engineering.
Neat. That's a good, both very good stories.
Excellent, excellent. Well, as you can see, our triangle, I'm going to explain this little strategy, and our triangle is great. You can program it with any questions you want. So our first question today, and you can see there are different level of questions, higher level thinking. So the first question was really a basic question, so right there question. What did you do? This is to get the kids engaged. And you can use this over multiple days in your classroom, over a lesson, or you can use it all in one day. And today I'm going to model a little bit of how you use it throughout our lesson. So this is something we're going to put on the side, and on the back you can see that she'll put their name, and this is, normally we give this as a ticket in the door. So when they're walking in, we give them a ticket in the door, and then this is their ticket out the door. So it's one piece of paper. You could use it for 3 days, you could use it for 1 day lesson, whatever it is. It's really to check their understanding, and as we go through our lesson, you'll be able to work on the other questions and share out, and you can see the questions get a little bit more complex. So this is the first strategy I wanted to share with you today, and we'll be using that throughout the lesson. Did I talk about the dot? Okay. AJ, did you notice, it's AJ, right?
Yeah.
EJ.
Yeah.
I have several AJs in my room, I have TJs. But anyway, EJ, did you notice you have a little dot on yours?
I did.
You do. And Lisa does not. And that's a way, it's a real sneaky way. Usually we put like pumpkin stickers or something for a holiday, but kept it simple today. That's a great way to differentiate. So say you have some struggling learners in your room and you wanted to talk to them and get them up. Normally you have the kids turn to their table groups and say, if you get a sticker on your paper, on your triangle, come see me. And then you can talk to them more and dig it out of them, get them to share more. Or you can use it with your higher level kids. And then you can say, okay, if you have a sticker today on yours, you're gonna come see me. So then you can ask them beyond the basic question. It's a great way to differentiate. You can do it for kids that are, you can put the sticker on there and give it to the kids for many reasons. Maybe you want to talk to all your level 3 learners or readers. And you have them the way Joel explained it to me. I used to do this with a deck of cards with my kids, but this works just as well. You have the plain ones on top and the sticker ones on the bottom, and you know your kids as you're walking in, you just kind of give them one, you know, so you kind of pick and choose the kids you want to give those to, so it works out really well. So if you want to work with one particular child that day, and you have the sticker, and I suggest you vary it, so don't think, oh, only the low kids get the sticker. Sometimes the high kids get this, sometimes the middle kids get the sticker. Sometimes the kids working on this project get the sticker. You know, if you're working, you know, in my room we do a lot of differentiation with different science projects we're working on right now for science fair. So the kids that are working on things that are physical science might get the sticker for the day. Come up to me, we're talking about that. So it just depends. It's a real cool little tool you can use in your tool belt for you as you go through your lesson. Okay, any questions before we go on? Pretty simple, right? Okay.
Ticket in the door.
Ticket in the door. Okay. It's very versatile, and we have one for you to take with you today that you can program. And we also have all the strategies we're using today are also online on Canvas. Mr. Bruno put them all up, and they're all, we have blank ones and ones that you can use throughout.
And Chris, the nice part about this
Yes.
is, let's say you wanted to use this in one day, ticket in the door in one day. And so you know you're planning on doing some lecturing for the day, but you know your kids can handle about 10 minutes of lecture. So what you do is, as they're walking in, maybe you have them start with that entry level question. Then you do some direct instruction with the kids, maybe that 10-minute chunk. And then you know the kids have reached their point where, okay, they've heard as much as they can hear for this chunk. So you say, all right, now turn back to your ticket. We're gonna work on this. I want you to take 5 minutes to work on the second question with a partner. If that one has a dot, you say, anybody with a dot, come see me. So now you give them 5 minutes, then you go back into direct instruction. You work a little bit more with the kids, and then maybe this is the last question for the day. So after another 10 minutes or 12 minutes, then you have them work on the next question, and you line those questions up with your instruction.
Yeah.
And so that way you're chunking out, and so rather than you speaking for 20 or 25 or 30 minutes at a time, you're kind of breaking it up for the kids. So that, which is the title of the session, how do we keep kids moving? How do we keep them kind of going?
Engaged.
So a little bit of chunking is kind of involved in the cycle as well. So that's if you use it in a one-day. If you use it in a multi-day lesson, maybe the first day they come in, they answer this one. Day 2, they come in and they answer this one, because now they have more information. This is the most complex, so on day 3, they've gotten 3 days worth of instruction. When they come in, this is their question in the door for day 3. So you can use it either way, like one 50-minute lesson or one question a day for 3 lessons. So you can vary that up as well.
Thank you so much for adding that. Great. Okay, so now we're going to talk about talking bubbles. Talking bubbles, I believe that is your sheet that's kind of hidden underneath. You can get this one out. I call this one talking bubbles. Okay. Now, there we go. Talking bubbles. Again, using the idea that Joel just shared about chunking information is really important. Say you're in a civics class and you're discussing politics or you're discussing democracy. Kids have a hard time with discussion. They have a hard time finding the words. I like it, yeah. It's okay, yeah. It's cool, yeah. But when you give them this paper, it's a really cool little strategy. They'll be able to model for themselves and learn how to be involved in a conversation. So this is how this strategy works. The black writing are the strategies, the categories, the strategies. And the bubbles are the actual sentence steps. So let's look at the first one saying benefits of. Let's look at benefits of. I have my glasses here, thank goodness. Benefits of. So say I'm sharing with all of you the benefits of our first green triangle, and I wanted to talk about that. I'd have to pick one of these bubbles in here to share out. And I'll say, I can see this helping because, and then I would add the rest, because I can see kids, it's a real concrete idea for kids to use. I can see kids being very engaged in this. I can see kids really liking this and engaging more and breaking up the instruction from time to time. Helps them stay more focused. They get to talk, they get their wiggles out. That really helps. And so then you would go, maybe you didn't choose that one, maybe you chose another one, EJ, and you would say, oh, well, and you would add that in. So it teaches children how to have a conversation around a topic and keeps them more focused. And these aren't like strategies for the whole period. These are strategies for a quick, minute and a half, maybe even 30 seconds. So usually, my rule is you pick 2 strategies and 1 bubble from each strategy. And that's your goal. And you can walk around, so the teacher isn't doing all the work. They're talking and pulling information out of each other's brains, and you're walking around and listening. And when you hear it start talking about lunch, or starting to die down and get off track, then you bring them all back together. So this is a quick strategy you can implement at any time. You can put this in a little cover sheet and have it on their desktops. You can have it on the side. I usually have 4 kids at a table, so I'd have 4 of these at the table. Okay, get your bubble sheets, pick 2 strategies in 1 bubble, and each strategy, give you 30 seconds to do that. Okay, get ready to go, the topic today, and have a question up there. So we're gonna model this today. Okay, so let's use our talking bubble. And so today, the question is, what's the best way for teachers to use the upcoming planning day? So going with my rule, choosing 2 strategies and 1 bubble in each strategy, we're going to engage in a conversation about what is the best way for teachers to use that planning day. So I'll give you 30 seconds to kind of look over the bubble sheet and pick out your 2 strategies you want to use, and then we're going to go ahead and engage in a conversation.
So I'll start us off. I'm gonna pick the benefits up. So the reason I think this is a good idea to have a planning day embedded in our work is it gives me as a teacher some time to get caught up with my grading, to get caught up with all those tasks that I haven't had a chance to finish. So the best way for me to use that time is to kind of stay focused, stay in my room. I usually jam some music, and I just really get all those things that kind of built up, that stacked up. I kind of knock that stack down, and that's how I use that day. That's the benefit for me.
Yeah, I've used that to see, I got a plan ahead this time.
Just because
But
we're
I
modeling.
liked this one.
Tell us.
Now, how do you think you could have been, doing this for your strategy?
Are you sure?
But, this one.
Okay.
Building what I just heard, I think, that I could use it for planning ahead.
Planning ahead, I didn't say that, that's a different use. So for me, it's about getting caught up, for you, it's about planning ahead. I love that. EJ?
For me, I'm going to add on, in addition to what's been stated, I think that I don't have a lot of grading to do, because I'm the SSAP, but I have a lot of student data to sort through. I need to compare what happened in progress reports up until the end of the quarter, and see how the students are doing, and get that data all sorted out.
Chris?
Well, I believe that it is important because, for all of us, because we need to take a breath and really focus on our teaching skills and our teaching strategies. We're infusing a lot of Marzano into, at least I am infusing a lot of Marzano strategies with my PLC. And so for me to have a day to look at that and see how I'm going to infuse those scales and use what I have just learned into that, it's really imperative for me to make sure that I get everything married together with the standards and the scales and, just have a good solid plan for the next 9 weeks. So, right, so.
Right. So one of the things that you quickly learn is kids, of course kids know how to talk. They know how to talk about who's dating who. They know how to talk about the latest movie that they want to go see, about, what happened on Instagram or anything, or Facebook, or they know how to talk. But we often assume they know how to engage in academic talk. the kind of talk we just engaged in, which was on a topic, was academic talk. So if we're looking at a science lesson, we don't want to assume kids know how to do that. So the sentence starters are a way for a kid to practice a specific strategy and also gives them some language to actually be able to practice that.
Yeah, can you get these like, I mean, I can see these rolled
Bigger.
out, laminated, and put on tables and groups, like give a leading question like you did, and have some of these there to show
Sure, you
kids
could have
could
selective
incorporate.
strategies you wanna work on with your kids, say, around surrounding behaviors, say. And you might want, specific examples or
But-
call to action.
Yeah, but like you said, they don't know that, you know, how to state that, so if they were
Right.
there in their group of what they're working on and had to use those.
And that's, as you go around the room, that's what the teacher's doing. So now I'm not, my role shifts, because now I'm not providing direct instruction. I'm asking the kids to do a little bit more of the thinking,
Yeah,
but I'm monitoring, so I might stop and say, EJ, I just heard you, which strategy did you just use? And he might say, Mr. Vincent, oh, I was using clarification. Okay, thanks. So now I'm kind of reinforcing that kids are using, elaboration techniques and using academic talk rather than just street talk or, neighborhood talk.
right.
So we're trying to help them kind of enhance their language skills, because we know they know how to talk, but do they know how to engage in an academic conversation? So this is scaffolding for that purpose, so that when you group them, you can be more certain, because it's hard we know releasing kids isn't always easy, but when we release them, we have a structure in place to kind of push them in the direction of academic talk, and here are sentence starters to help them get started. And it kind of just helps you kind of move the conversation along. You could laminate it, you could put it on cardstock. There's lots of ways you could use these sentence starters.
Absolutely, absolutely. So are there any questions about this strategy before we move on? Pretty simple, right? So let's keep it simple. So we're giving you some simple ideas that you can infuse on Monday into your class. Okay, all right, let's revisit our triangle. So let's get out our triangle again. And again, I'm modeling like in your classroom, this is what you're doing. You're doing a chunk of information, you're teaching some, so okay, everybody, you see the conversation's getting kind of running out of gas, and you're like, okay, let's get out our triangle, and let's look at question number 2. Question number 2 is right here. We're gonna work a few minutes on question number 2 with our partners, and usually I change partners. I usually have kids like, okay, you're gonna go work with people that are, have a blue shirt on. Pick somebody that's, or somebody that you have your back to, so turn around, your table's gonna work with that table now, and so they'll mix up groups, so it's not the same conversation. Because kids get real comfortable with the same partner, so it's really important that you vary it, that they get, because they might be sitting, my classroom, I have them sitting kind of by their reading levels. So my level 1s are all kind of together with a few 2s jumped in, so they can help each other, and I can get to them quicker. But I want the level 1s listening to what level 3s and 4s are saying. So I'll say, okay, so you're gonna turn around and you're gonna go to this table, and table 1, you're gonna go mix with table 4, and you're gonna find a partner over there. So I mix them up like that. So let's look at question number 2. And then we're gonna start our conversation. We're gonna take about 30 seconds or 40 seconds to share out that idea. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. And anybody that has a bubble on your, sticker on your sheet is gonna come up to me. Oh, me, yay!
So it says, think about it and then decide what
Okay.
is your favorite
So
part
let's have
of
a seat.
teaching?
Is it there?
What's your favorite part?
We'll just,
I like
where are we
when
gonna
my
sit?
teacher
Right,
starts
okay.
reading and all of a sudden it goes, oh,
Think
that's
about
fine.
time when you,
So when they have a breakthrough and then, yeah, so,
think about it, and then
my
decide
favorite part of teaching
what
is
your favorite
when you see when
That
that,
light bulb is
I agree. So for us, it's the same, when kids make breakthroughs and when kids are able to, have something that they can really celebrate, that's kind of cool. It comes together, yes. That can be a little magical.
It is.
I know that's maybe hokey on my part,
No,
but
that's the part I love.
that's the part I love as well. We have that in common. I love that.
That's
Fantastic.
wonderful, you're focused.
What would be an additional thing? What's maybe your second favorite?
Well, I'm social studies certified. And then I think it's social studies. There's that or chemistry. Physics. Engineering.
successful.
Yeah. The students
Yeah.
like those.
I don't know.
Yeah. For me, it was always, you know, the kids kept me young. They kept me kind of knowing what's the latest trends, and so one of the things, you know, when I was engaging in conversation with kids that wasn't necessarily content, the kids would be the ones that would let me know what's the latest hippest song, or what's the latest, all right, Instagram's ad style, what's now at Snapchat. So I always liked kind of learning from the kids some of the cultural things. Who's the biggest pop star right now? Because the kids, you know, they'll clue you into those things. And I always felt like for me, that was another favorite part, because it kind of keeps you young, right? It keeps you kind of young and,
What did you learn today?
you know, yeah, you're kind of hip and,
You know, we're
you
at
know.
radiation.
Of course, the kids never think we're hip, but we think we're hip.
Let's
So
do
now
that.
it goes.
Using it right.
So that would be like the second question. Do you notice the difference about this question versus this question?
Yeah, well, that is very broad.
Pages.
Uh-huh. Okay, so this one's a little broader and this one's more specific.
Really?
Anything else?
You can move everything individually, overlapping each other. It never, ever.
As we think about working with kids, and we wanna make sure that we're continuing to take that rigor to the next level, this is, and it's on this sheet right here that Chris is gonna go over. This is more of that entry level. Are you familiar with the taxonomy? Which taxonomy are you most comfortable
Totally
with?
different, but I use it for two different things.
Bloom's or horizontal? Bloom's, okay, so we'll just stick with Bloom's for now. So this would be like a Bloom's level 1 type question, and it's, do you see here what those kind of verbs are? So this is kind of that entry level, and this one is a more complex question because kids have to make it, or the learner, you and me, and you notice it was a little hard, right? We both stumbled a little bit. Think about and then decide. We're going beyond just regurgitating or retrieval. Now you have to think about something I just taught you, and you have to make a decision. So what happens is we think about how can we ramp kids' thinking up if we're strategic about our questions and we guide them into the more complex questions in a gradual release kind of way. You can't throw them in the deep end of the pool sometimes. Sometimes we can, most times we can't. But if we gradually release them into more complex questions, what this does for the teachers, this ensures that my instruction, that my questioning is gonna take kids where they need to go so that I'm not just staying. And I've been guilty of this, you probably aren't. You're probably a better teacher than I ever was. But I was guilty at times of staying in those lower level questions within a lesson. And this is also a tool for me, because if I set it up correctly, this guides me as the teacher. I don't have to remember everything. This guides me to guide the kids into more rigorous questions. And if you go to the third question, now what is the best way to engage students in content? I've got to take everything I've learned and really think about an even more complex question. So now this is something that may not have been explicitly taught, but I've got to make connections to what I just learned. And this sheet is designed to help you build questions on the card. I might want a question here, I might want 2 questions here. I might say, this is an advanced class, so I'm gonna have 2 questions here and 1 question here. Or I might say 1 of each, if I'm gonna use this over a 3-day period. So the structure actually helps, on the front, it actually helps guide the learner into more complex, more difficult thinking. And as a teacher, I would know that, and so I might put that sticker here on the complex question, and I might have the kids that maybe yesterday I gave a formative assessment, and I know they struggled, and they're gonna struggle with that question, so I'm gonna make sure that they have a stick bubble on here, so they're gonna come see me for that 5 minutes, so I'm gonna make sure that they're good to go. So that's a scaffold as well. So these levels of questions, and these are examples that we've provided, Chris and I have provided to you to kind of. Yeah, I agree, because this is I've always believed when they get into a taxonomy, they only focus on the verb. So I can have a complex verb that says about colors. But colors aren't complex. Kids learn colors in preschool. So it's not only the verb, it's what you're asking them to do with the verb. So I agree with you. This side makes more sense. Good catch on that, by the way.
Okay, well, great,
Oh,
let's
we
get
finished at
back
the same
together. Perfect, let's get back together, wonderful. So as you can see, this little triangle is a wonderful tool you could use throughout your day, throughout a couple of days, over a couple of days, and it's really good for implementing. Okay, So, let's go to the next one. Okay, so we're gonna do the 4 Explore now. We have about five minutes.
4 minutes left.
4 minutes
Yes,
left.
ma'am.
I have 2 things to do, okay. So, I'm just gonna explain it, we're not gonna model this, we're not gonna engage in this one, but this one is really a fun activity. I was really excited when Joel shared this with me. You have this at your table, and since I always have 3 or 4 kids at a table, it works so well. You have 4, and you have sticky notes, so all the kids have a sticky note, and you pose a question. What does rigor look like in my classroom? Oh, we're doing that for teachers, but you can say, what does good behavior look like in the classroom, or what does convection look like, in the world? Can you name something that you can see?
You can ask an
convection?
SSAT
Yeah.
question if
Yeah.
you pull in small groups.
Yeah.
You might have a focus question for
Yeah.
those kids.
And then every kid has a sticky note in their little box, and it's not a lot of risk, they just have to write on this little square, and they slap it on their square, and then they share out. And you can walk around real quick and monitor, if you're working on the computers, what have you learned from this lesson, or what subject you can group all the kids working on language arts, or all the kids working on math or something, and you can say, okay, what did you learn from this, or pose a question to the kids, and they quickly write it on their sticky note and stick it on there, and then you walk around and you monitor. It could be a lesson on civics, it could be a lesson on behavior, it could be a lesson on science, it could be anything, because it's very versatile, and it's interchangeable. Did you want to add anything else, Joe?
I would add on that in the directions, it says to also connect back to this, so when kids are answering the question, so the cycle goes, you pose a question, they think about their answer, you specifically give them a small amount of space, because that forces kids to be real succinct in their language. That's a skill, because we want to be succinct. And after they slap it down, as the teacher, I can visually monitor that. I can be moving around. If we had kids in this room right now, I could walk around, and if this had 3 sticky notes and there was nothing here, I would know that child is struggling because they haven't completed the task yet. So I might say, hey, what's going on? Oh, I'm not really sure. You can immediately on the spot have an intervention. So we know interventions on the spot are more powerful than interventions after the instruction has already come and gone. It's the in the moment kind of intervention. So it has that visual component for you as the teacher, because you can see who has put a sticky note and who hasn't. So that's important. And then you ask the kids as they're sharing their answers, they see the strategies connect. You'd want them to use academic talk and not assume they know how to do that. So then you might engage them in, I want to make sure you tell them up front, I'm going to be listening for academic talk, and I want to hear you picking a strategy. And you let them pick a specific example, call to action, cause and effect, make a comparison. But this gives you a visual way of kind of monitoring students if they're responding. And it also has some accountability for the child, because if they know you're going to monitor, they can't just sit back and let 3 people talk, because they know you're coming around, and if you don't see a sticky note, you're going to intervene. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it provides some accountability for the learner. I've got to complete this.
Okay, real quick before we leave, there's one more on your tabletop. There's Custis level of inquiry. And so these are different higher level thinking questions, or thinking question stems for you to use. Now it's just like Bloom's or taxonomy. This works really well too. And you can use that for your kids. And on the back, it shows you level 1 questions, level 2 questions, and level 3 questions, which mirrors nicely with our triangle. So on the back of your triangle, when we're ending a session, you can say turn over, and it could be for today, you might say, today, because you're using this for 3 days, you could say, today we're just doing the first question. And then tomorrow the next, or if it's all in one day, you can say turn to your neighbor. I want you to talk about the first question and write something down as your ticket out the door, and you can collect it out the door. Anything else, Joel?
No, I would no, nothing else. I mean, so the back of it serves as that out. So now they've got to do some summarizing, and again, you'll notice that it gets more rigorous as you go down. 3 things that are clear to me is more of that level 1. 2 connections I made between new concepts and my prior knowledge. You're asking a little bit higher order in that second one. And then the single most important thing I learned today was that forces the child to think about everything they learned and make a decision. When kids have to make a decision or make a selection, you're definitely going beyond just entry-level retrieval or regurgitation, because that child has to decide what's most important to them. And it gives you an opportunity to monitor the learning for for that day, or if you're using it over 3 days, over that 3 days, you can monitor how kids are doing and intervene in the moment. And it also gives kids an opportunity to kind of focus their thinking.
Right. Thank you for adding that on, I appreciate that. So, as we leave today, I would like you to take a sticky note out of the box, and I'd like you to commit and think about what strategy that we introduced today, which one would you be able to, you will be using on Monday? That was the whole goal of our lesson, was to be able to use, no sticky notes in there? Okay, I got some. So, and I have some posters up as you're walking out the door. You just stick that on one of the posters. We're just doing a little survey to see which one is the one people are going to use the most. And I really wanted this session to be simple and you to take away an idea that you can use. And I thank you so much for coming to our
Thank you
session
guys.
today.
You know you're super busy, it's Friday.
Yeah.
You could have been doing a lot of other things today, you came.
These dollars,
They go with you.
Yeah.
And they're also electronically, Mr. Bruno was fantastic. He uploaded all of those documents electronically on the Canvas course for us.
And guys, just keep in mind also there's a pre and a post question that you need to answer on Canvas that goes along with the points. But I'll remind you guys later on that. I'll remind you later. I'll send you the link and everything and we'll get you all squared away. Yep.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.